Now that we've opened the can of worms called formatting XML, let's look at the choices that we have, and you can get some pretty heated responses from people about this. The first choice is CSS, and yes, that's exactly what it is, cascading style sheets. Now, if you've ever done any web development, web programming, and you probably have, you'll remember cascading style sheets. Back in the early days of the web, it was determined that we were putting way too much formatting data in our HTML documents. And so what we did is, here's our HTML documents, we decided to put style sheet information out in a separate document and then correlate these two documents. Very similar to what we're doing with schema documents in XML. And so we put all the formatting information out here in our cascading style sheet, and then we applied that formation to the HTML document when it was rendered by the browser. Now, this is a great idea because it allowed us to just simply look at the tags in the HTML document and put the data on the screen with certain colors, sizes, and all kinds of bells and whistles without actually having to put it into the HTML document. Well, that actually comes in pretty handy here because we've got XML markup that we just simply want to format so that it looks prettier on the screen instead of all this indented tagged XML format. So cascading style sheets on one hand solves that problem rather nicely. There's another choice that you have that you'll tend to use quite a bit, and that's XSL. Now that stands for Extensible Style Language. Notice it's kind of interesting to me with the acronyms. You choose whichever number fits your letter fits your acronym and just kind of pull it out of the word. Notice the capital X here. But anyway, it's got nothing to do with the course, I guess. The Extensible Style Language takes us a step farther than cascading style sheets. Now, you need to understand these are not competing technologies. Cascading style sheets is still used quite a bit, both in regular web development, HTML type stuff, and in XML. Now, as we look at some examples a little later on, you'll see the strengths and weaknesses of both. But let me just kind of give you a little preview right now. Cascading style sheets only does formatting. It only formats the data that's there. Now we can tell it not to show some data, but we really can't be very selective with it. Now, some of the hardcore CSSers out there, again, they're probably yelling at their screen. Yes, you can use CSS in scripting and go through the DOM, the document object model, and take care of some formatting, but that's generally not worth the trouble. You're probably screaming even louder now. So if you want to do it that way, fine, but for the most part, XSL is now beginning to take over those because XSL actually provides transformation. Now, it's going to be a few videos, but we're going to talk about XSLT in this course, and you will see how XSL uses the XPath language to actually transform an XML document. Now, again, the idea behind XML is to allow data to be passed around and maintain its meaning. Well, if you've sent me 5,000 records in XML format and they've maintained their meaning, that means I can go back through that document, parse through it, and find 2,000 of those 5,000 names that meet one specific criteria that I set. XSL can do that. CSS can't. It can only turn certain tags green, blue, red, and so forth. And you'll see it has a lot of power, but it doesn't quite give us the transformational capabilities of XSL. So there's your choices. If you just need to format just a real quick, nice formatting of the data to show it to the end user, CSS is fine. And you'll like code in CSS. It's very easy. If you need to transform the data, pull certain data, use variables and so forth in there, XSL is going to be your choice. But you're going to see XSL, there's a bit of a learning curve to it. So over the next few videos, we're going to take a look at cascading style sheets and just kind of, tempt you a little bit with some of the things you can do with it, and understand this is not a cascading style sheets course. So I am just going to barely get your feet wet with this and show you some of the possibilities, and then point you to out to Google and some other places, some cascading style sheet books out in the bookstores to learn what you can really do with this. But you can get a lot done with it. So let's take a look at cascading style sheets, using those to format XML in the next few videos.